First, I give praise to Allah. I give honor to all divine prophets. I give honor to Prophet Noah, the founder. I give prophet to Sheikh John Givers L, Prophet Noah, the reincarnated. I give honor to Grand Sheikh Richard Digger L, Prophet Noah, the third form. And I give honor to Grand Sheikh Timothy L, hyphen Noah Ali. I greet you in the grace of peace. This is Grand Sheikh K. Yusef-Bey. Peace.
Peace.
You may be seated. Islam Moors.
Islam.
So you could see that both sheikhs dealt with some type of form of diversity. You had one sheikh, Sheikh Sadiq Bey, he went into Abraham Lincoln, he dealt with some constitution to show that we was not Negro, black, and colored. He showed that the original 13 member 20 sections, he showed that Abraham Lincoln had Moorish origin. So you see the diversity. Then you see that Sheikh Amir El, he dealt with Muhammad from a political perspective, not religious. Because sometimes people get caught up in the spell of religion, so he came in at it from a different angle, from a political perspective, showing that Muhammad, the prophet, dealt with things from a equality level and not how Western society portrayed Islam and Muhammad as some type of tyrant. Because according to the record, that's not necessarily the case. Islam? So, you know, I did a video last week. It was called Ezra, the real Moses, the court of Hammurabi. And when I was looking on the video, which we recommend people to make comments, someone made a comment and they said they needed more clarity on what I was saying, because what I did say, it wasn't that simple. Because I'm saying that, you know, see, all right, I want to explain our position here at this temple. We're not religiously dogmatic. So, you know, if we read a book and that book says that Jesus didn't exist or Moses didn't exist, it's not going to affect us, because when we read the scripture, we deal with the principle of the scripture. We deal with the moral principle of the scripture. Now, if they do exist, it's all good. You know, that's cool. And if they don't, guess what? It's all good. Because we're not caught up in dogma. So we will use the Bible, the Quran, the narrative of it to show a point. But we would go also into esoteric understanding. We would go into historical understanding of it. We're not bounded in a religious box that we can just be like, oh, this is the only way, this is how it is, and that's it. We could deal with it from various different angles. So we're not dogmatic. So when I was dealing with Hammurabi, which was the Babylonian king who created the code of Hammurabi, I wasn't dealing with it from a religious perspective. I was dealing with it from a historical perspective. Islam. So we're gonna go back into Babylon, Timbuktu, and we're gonna go into chapter 111 again, and so you can see my premise. Can I get someone to read this to me? Thank you, Muhammad.
Islam, chapter 3, Afro-Asian culture goes to Europe. The Sumerians, Babylonians, and Ethiopians were black people. They contribute, Islam, redact that. Islam, chapter 3, Afro-Asian culture goes to Europe. The most famous of the Babylonian kings was Hammurabi.
I just mentioned that name, right? The most famous Babylonian king, Hammurabi. That's it.
Who ruled about 2150 BC. He was outstanding for the codification of a system of laws founded on retaliation as the punitive measure for crime. He also established a 7-day week, which the last day, a rest day or Sabbath. This idea was adopted by the Hebrews, and
this idea was adopted by the Hebrews. This idea was adopted by the Hebrews. That means the Hebrews adopted the Code of Hammurabi, the concepts for the Code of Hammurabi. They laws, some of the laws derived from the Code of Hammurabi. They 7-day week system derived from the Code of Hammurabi. Because like I said earlier, if you want to build a new car, are you going to look at the old car, or are you going to start from scratch?
Old car.
So no laws are created based upon some laws falling out the sky from some God. They look at previous law systems that exist and they build upon them law systems. For instance, the Constitution for the United States of America is based upon English law, it's based upon Moorish law, it's based upon the great law of peace that was over here, and it's based upon biblical law. And based upon that, they created a constitution with these concepts. Now, right now, somebody told you that the Constitution fell from the sky, that God gave them the Constitution. Were you going to believe that?
Nope.
But it was men that sat around, looked at previous constitutional laws, and they developed their law system from that. It's the same thing with the Bible. No Moses got no law from the God in the sky with a magic wand in his hand and a crown and put his hand down and gave him the law. The Israelites looked at a system that exists already, which we see here was the Code of Hammurabi, and developed their law, they code a law system based upon this law and other laws that exist previously before that. So I could come and give you the religious thing and be like, you know, Moses went on the mountain, God said, here my child, to take commandments, and he got the commandments, and we could go home. That's cool, but I think we tired of that. That's why we might be here. We've been here that too long.
That's right.
We want something more realistic now, right?
There you go.
Islam. This idea was adopted by the Hebrews and then transmitted to the Greeks, Romans, and other Europeans. The literature of the Babylonians is quite interesting. Long ago, these black people wrote with a sharp instrument on clay tablets. Thousands of these tablets have been found, and some of them disclose a popular work known as the Enuma Elish, or the creation epic.
Islam. Thank you. You got to show what you got. I appreciate that.
What page was that?
Chapter 111.
Chapter 3, the Roman numerals, page 26.
Oh, chapter 3? I thought on the top. What's that?
Roman numerals.
Oh, okay. Oh, the Roman numerals. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mo. Yeah, I'm not good at Roman numerals at all. So that's not my thing. So we're going to go into the code. This is the code of Hammurabi, right? We're going to go into the code of Hammurabi, and we're going to go into the Bible. We're going to just show like 10 laws in the Bible, 2 laws in the Bible, 2 laws in the code of Hammurabi to show that it relates to one another. Thank you, Muslim. So we're going to go to... Now, mind you, within that book, I need participation, you know. I want to feel energy.
Islam.
Now, what did we just read in that book? That the Hebrews derived their laws from the Code of Hammurabi, right?
That's right.
And then they came into the Europeans eventually adopted it, correct? Now, this is the Code of Hammurabi. I'm going to just pick a random law here and see can it be some type of similarity with it.
Islam, take heed, Moses.
Islam. I want to get Okay, we go with this. Give me Deuteronomy 19 and 21, and give me the Code of Hammurabi 196. Let's see if this is a similarity.
Deuteronomy 19:21.
Yes, sir.
Islam. Deuteronomy 19, verse 21. And thy eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Islam.
That's serious right there, right? That ain't no joke. Let's see what... Now, Hammurabi code is older. It's like 300 years older than the so-called Moses law. Let's see what they say in the Bible. Code of Hammurabi.
Code of Hammurabi 196. If a man put out the eye of another man, his eye shall be put out, an eye for an eye.
Do this sound similar? So now, do y'all gonna sit down? Are y'all gonna go back home and believe that Moses went on a mountain and some God out the sky came down with tablets and gave him this law? Or we gonna be realistic and say, you know what? These Israelites must have studied other systems of law and they put it into their system of law. This is how law works.
That's gotta be a coincidence, bro.
Gotta be a
That's gotta be a coincidence.
Gotta be coincidence. I'm gonna give one more,
Okay.
and then we're gonna get into the conspiracy of who's this real Moses and how this went place. Because when you go into this story, I was telling the sheik in the car, it's crazy.
Let's go.
You know, when you deal with the underlying, it's just bugged out when you get deep into this. So, yeah, I can't talk that blasphemy, Mo. Give me Exodus 21:26 and Hammurabi Code 199.
Islam, Exodus 21, verse 26. And if a man smite the eye of his servant, or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake.
Islam. Code of Hammurabi. If you put out the eye of a man's slave, or break the bone of a man's slave, he shall pay 1/2 of its value.
Similarity?
A little bit.
Similarity?
Defamation of cause.
So, y'all can look this up, that the Mosaic law came from Hammurabi. And Hammurabi nationality, he was an Amorite. And today, that's called a Moor.
That's right.
The Amorites. The Prophet always mentioned them in the Moorish Quran. The Moabites, Amorites, Hittites, so forth. These were all Moorish tribes. So Hammurabi is a Moor. When you look at his picture, he looked like Brother Sadiq, Brother Jeff with a long beard. Islam? All right, now we're going to get into this. I'm not going to have enough time to get all the way into this, but we're going to get into this. All right, so you have a priest in the Bible known as Ezra, E-Z-R-A. And if you put Ezra, you put L on it, what do you have?
Israel.
That's kind of spooky.
Yeah.
That's spooky, right? So Ezra is called Idris in the Greek, which is in a book called the Apocrypha. If you get this book right here, they have books in it called like the first book of Idris, the second book. That's Greek for Israel. It's the same person when you get this book. There's a reason why the church took this book out, because this book exposed that. All right, we'll get to it. Okay. So the priest.
Islam, you said Idris.
Idris. Yeah. In the Apocrypha, when you read it, that's Israel. It's just Greek for it. So he was a priest, the scribe of Lord of Allah in the heavens. Give me Ezra chapter 27, verse 6. Now he is a scribe of the law of God of the heavens.
Islam, the book of Ezra. Yeah, Ezra 7:6. Islam, Ezra, chapter 7, verse 6. This Ezra went up from Babylon, and he was a ready scribe in the law of Moses, which the Lord God of Israel had given. And the king granted him all his requests according to the hand of the Lord his God upon him. Islam.
So it collaborates what I said. He was the scribe of the law. So this is Moses of your Pentateuch, or the Torah. He suddenly appears in history as being in Babylon in the 7th year of the Persian king. In 458 BC, 100 years after the Jews were released from captivity. Islam? Now, this is the conspiracy. It says the false pen of the scribes' works were falsehood. Give me Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. And give me Matthew chapter 12, verse 27.
Islam.
Listen to this.
Islam. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. How do ye say, we are wise, and the law of the Lord is with us? Lo, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribes is in vain. Islam. Yes.
So it says the pen of the scribes are in vain. So here, Jeremiah is saying that the pen of the scribes, because Ezra is a scribe, right?
Islam.
He's saying the pen of the scribes are in vain. You got the Luke one, the Matthews, 12, 37.
Matthew 12, 27.
Yeah. You could let Jason get some too. That's good. You got this.
Islam. Matthew chapter 12, verse 27. And if I, Beelzebub, 37. Islam chapter 12, verse 37. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Islam.
So it appears that in 622 BC, Hilkiah, the high priest, found the book of law of the Lord, given by Moses, the priest, given to Shaphan, the scribe, and he read it. This is in 2 Kings 22 and 8. So this king, Hilkiah, he was a high priest. He found the law, and he gave it to Shaphan, the scribe, and he read it to him. There's a reason why he read it to him also. He took it to the king, Josiah, and read it to him, which is in 2 Kings 22 and 10. The king had heard these words for the book and rent his clothing, and he tore off his clothing. Now, Jeremiah heard of the matter. He did not believe in any book. He not believing any book had been found, and regarded the story as a plot of the priesthood. So when they found this book, which is the book of the law, in Jeremiah 8 and 8, he says that this is the pen of the scribes. It says vain, but in other books it says is a forgery. So he did not accept this book of the law. And right here we read that it was a plot of the priesthood. In 2 Kings 25 and 25, Jeremiah assists that the works were a forgery, and that the false pen of the scribes worked for the followers of the book of the law was forged with the conviction of the priesthood, and for the purpose of giving the priesthood more power. So they saying that this book that was found, which was the book of the law, that this was going to give the priesthood more power. This priesthood is called the Levitical Priesthood. When you study biblical history, the Levitical priesthood goes back to Aaron, which was Moses' brother.
That's right.
But all these historical characters, we don't know that. We don't know if they're historical people or not. But that's not the debate, because we're not dealing with the debate, we're dealing with the moral of the story. But we do not know if Moses is a real person or not. We just don't know. Islam? Hilkiah gives the book to Shaphan, the scribe, and read it to them. He read it before the king. He read the book twice, or in one day, or in an hour. Now, this is what, let's deal with reality. This is the 5 books of the Torah. How long do it take you to read a Torah portion? A Torah throughout the year. How long it take?
It takes a year.
A year. When you read the scriptures, it says that they read it twice, all in one day. The Pentateuch consists of 150,000 words and cannot be read in one day. So how did they read this in one day or 2 days?
Islam.
That's number one. Y'all hearing me, Moors? Y'all, I don't want to be going too fast. Y'all with me? All right, Moors. So it was not the Pentateuch. By this evidence, we may assert that the Pentateuch did not then exist in 622 BC, the laws of Moses. So you got in Jeremiah 8 and 8, he's saying, yo, this is a forgery. We don't believe this. He's talking about the scribes, that the wicked pen of the scribes. Ezra is a scribe and a giver of the law, right? The book was not even Deuteronomy, for this book, as we have it, contains 30,000 words. And as it was then written, could not be read by a scribe to a king in least less than 10 hours. But we are told that this starting book of the law to be read and with understanding was read twice in a day and then read at a public meeting. When you read 2 Kings 22, it goes into that. So we're going to believe that they read this book that has 30,000 words and they read this book twice in one day. Yo, you're not reading no Torah twice in one day. Y'all could read this in the Bible. I'll give you the scripture. When you go back on our YouTube channel, Brooklyn Moors, y'all could re-look at these videos because you're going to be things that you might not catch right now. You're going to catch it. Islam? Moses wrote a book of law. He commanded that at the end of every 7 years it should be read before all Israel. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 9. And give me 2 Kings verse 22 verse 8. Yeah, 22 verse 8, 2 Kings. Deuteronomy 31 verse 9. So this must have been read publicly according to the Bible.
That's right.
Whoever got it first, come up so we can get this done. Appreciate it. 2 Kings 22 verse 8.
Islam. Deuteronomy 31 verse 9. And Moses wrote this law and delivered it unto the priests, the sons of Levi, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and unto all the elders of Israel. Verse 10. And Moses commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, in the solemnity of the year of release, in the Feast of Tabernacles. Islam?
I just said that, right? So y'all know I'm not making this up.
Second Kings chapter 22 verse 8. And Hilkiah the high priest said unto Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it.
You know why he read it? Because that neither the king nor the high priest could even read. Because a lot of the children of Israel was illiterate. He had to read it to them. Islam? So the contents of the book were so foreign to the customs and practice and rights of the people that it caused a great confusion, and that the king rent his clothing, meaning he tore off his clothing, which is 2 Kings 22 and 11. We're not going to go into that right now. How could this be true if the book of law had been read every 7 years before all the people as commanded by Moses? Remember we just read that? The Torah did not exist as a representative, or it did not, or if it did, the people have failed to respect it. So they did not even know this law. Give me Ezra and Nathan. Give me Nathan chapter 9, verse 34. Nathaniel. What's Ezra's brother name? Wait, let me get the name.
Nehemiah?
Yeah, Nehemiah, my bad, thank you, Mo. Nehemiah 9:34.
Islam. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 34. Neither have our kings, our princes, our priests, nor our fathers kept thy law, nor hearkened unto thy commandments and thy testimonies. Therewith thou didst testify against them. Islam.
So they did not keep the law, they did not know the law. Jeremiah was right when he challenged the claim of Hilkiah and declared that this work a forgery. King Josiah was going to King Josiah only 18 years and was easily influenced by the high priest. So he set a committee ahead by Hilkiah, the father of the forgery. Give me 2 Kings 22 verse 14. Now King Josiah, he's the king at the time, he's 18 years old. He's being very influenced by the high priest. Now, let's understand what these high priests, Levitical priests, what they do. This is what they do. When you want to make any type of sacrifice, you have to bring a bull or a lamb or so forth to the high priest. And you sacrifice for the high priest for the, forgiveness of sins. So if we don't got cash money at that time, right?
That's right.
So they're bringing meat to be sacrificed. What they do with that meat afterwards?
Good.
They eating.
Good. Right?
So this is the way they made their bread. They created these laws for them to bring the sacrifices to the priest so the priest can eat. Islam.
Stand up. Introduce yourself.
Peace, boy.
Peace.
Yeah.
Would it be that this is how the whole, the packaging of the food, when we got the kosher thing with
That K on it?
Yeah, that's just because they want to make sure you're not eating pork.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say, like, this was a racket. This was the way for the Levitical priests to get their bread up. Like, basically, we're going to create this system, and they're going to bring these sacrifices to us, and we're going to get the money. Because at the end of the day, the creator, he created everything, right? He created the cows and everything. Can you bribe the creator with meat? You can't bribe the creator with meat. So no matter what sacrifice you do, you can't bribe the creator who created everything with some meat. Because it's not for the creator, it's for the Levitical priests that want this. They want to get. It wasn't no money back then, so it was cattle. So you bring the sacrifices to the Levitical priests, and they get to eat the food. But when you're religiously fanatical and dogmatic, you think you're making a sacrifice to the Creator to forgive your sins, but really these Levitical priests, they need to eat. Yo, this is why we're not on that type of time. Can we navigate through that degree? Because these are degrees that we navigate through. Yeah, we navigate through these degrees. But at the end of the day, we're going to deal with the realistic perspective of what this is really about.
That's right.
You got it, Moon? 2 Kings 22, verse 3.
2 Kings 22, verse 3. And it came to pass in the 18th year of King Josiah that the king sent Shaphan, the son of Azariah, the son of Meshullam, the scribe, to the house of the Lord, saying, Go up to Hilkiah the high priest, that he may sum the silver which is brought into the house of the Lord.
Wait a minute. Who are we talking to? The king Hilkiah. Hilkiah was in on this whole forgery, the fraud. that Jeremiah 8 was talking about, Hilkiah was down with it.
Wow. Word.
Y'all feeling this? Y'all with me, Moses? Keep down with this. Because you know what Hilkiah was? Hilkiah was a priest who was down. I'm going to get into it. Hopefully I catch it to it. Y'all can understand why what's the purpose of him doing this. Because what they wanted to do, at one point in time, the priests did not have a centralized place to sacrifice their animals. They were doing it on altars, different places. They needed a centralized place. So what they made a centralized place to sacrifice their animals was in Jerusalem. Because Hilkiah was a Jerusalem priest. So he like, wait a minute. They basically, we on a block, we got drugs. We gonna keep it so we can understand. Whoever sold some weed or whatever used to do, we gotta keep it 100. We from the streets. You got your little weed or whatever. You got your little blocks. But you like, yo, you know what? Yo, I'm not getting no money because he's selling weed here, he's selling weed here. So now we're gonna come up with a plan so everybody could come sell weed on Pond Street in Brownsville instead of being on Livonia, this, that, and the third. We need a centralized place for everybody to come and get their weed. So what they started doing, they started tearing down the altars of the other spots so they all could bring the sacrifice to Jerusalem. So all that money could come to Pond Street so you could come get your, I don't want to talk like this, Morris, but I got to talk so our people understand. You got to come to Pond in Brownsville to get your weight. Because you can't come to these little spots anymore because now everything is over here. So Hezekiah's like, wait a minute, they sacrifice and they alter the meat over here, over there, over there. Now we're going to tear these things down. We're going to bring it to one centralized spot, which is Jerusalem, and everybody has to bring their bread over here. This was what they was doing. This was the conspiracy, and they had to put King Josiah because he was young and very, they could influence his mind. So we're going to keep it 100. We used to be dealing with the church. What Jesus is very known for? Huh? Say it, let me hear. Nah, he's known for something that the Christian church the whole religion is based upon this. Nah, they wear a cross on their neck because of this. He was crucified. And he was a sacrifice. So now, if he's a sacrifice, where's the method of Jesus, the message of Jesus? That I'm the sacrifice, you don't have to do sacrifice no more. Now what he doing? He messing with the bread. Wait a minute, he talking about he's a sacrifice, you don't have to sacrifice animals no more. This is why they mad at him. They was going to kill him, not because he was saying he's this and that. Yo, he's messing with the money.
That's right. That's right.
Because now if you say, I'm the sacrifice, wait a minute, now they're going to have to come to Jerusalem and give us out. They're not going to sacrifice bulls, they're going to sacrifice lamb. They messing with the bread.
That's right.
So somebody come on your block, you got everybody coming to Pond now to get what they got to get from you, and then somebody come on and mess it all up. You're going to want to kill them, right? Because that's how you get your money. So the Levitical priest, who was his worst enemy, was trying to kill him, the scribes and the Pharisees, who was the serpents. They wanted to kill Jesus because they wanted this, they was trying to stop the money, which is that sacrifice, was getting that bread, getting that meat. That's what this is about. Y'all never heard nothing like this before, right?
Not at all.
Yo, we're gonna make this real as we could real. This is a place, you wanna know the real deal, how this went down?
True.
I'm not gonna give you no spooky story.
True.
This all about money.
That's right.
He messed up the bread.
Isn't there a scripture that he says, you hypocrites, give Caesar back his, render what Caesar to Caesar, and give what's God's back to God. He's talking to I think the scribes or the Pharisees and stuff.
Yeah, why? You know the story. Who was on his body? Who was on his body the most? It was the priests. Like, my G, you trying to mess up our money? We're about to take you out of here. Like, yo, we been getting sacrifices from back in the days. They bring all this cattle to us. We eating lovely, and then you talking about you don't got to sacrifice anymore. I'm the sacrifice. You trying to mess up our money? You about to get your head taken off? That's what this is about. It's crazy, man. So Josiah, at the tender age of 18, assumed the throne during his reign. The priesthood considered it an opportune time to increase their power. So the first edition of the Torah, which is Deuteronomy 31:9, was mysteriously found by Hilkiah, the high priest in 622 BC. Through this influence of the priesthood on the young king, this forgery was officially adopted and imposed as a yoke of the people. They adopted and they imposed on the people, and then they gave it authority and say, this book came from God to Moses. And put on the people. So now what the people got to do? They got to do them sacrifices. They got to give them animals to the Levitical priests.
That's right.
Islam.
If I'm not mistaken, in the Islam, first I rise, give praise to the Most High and all divine prophets. Islam, Jason Dadbell, preach you in peace.
Islam.
Now, I was reading the book of Malachi earlier, even before I came here, and in the chapter 1 and 2, it talks about the corruption of the priesthood, and it's talking about, you know, the feasts and...
Read it then, let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it, Islam. I got that in here too.
Got that?
I'm glad that you got it. I got it.
10:20.
Yeah, I'm going to jump around some verses where I know it hits.
Got that bigger one.
This is not mine, this is Sadiq's. Oh, okay. Let me see, let me get a good verse for you here. Okay. The table, all right, this is verse 12, chapter 1. But ye have profaned it, in that ye say, the table of the Lord is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat, is contemptible. Ye said also, behold, what a weariness is it, and ye have snuffed at it, saith the Lord of hosts, and ye brought that which was torn and the lame and the sick. Thus ye brought an offering. Should I accept this of your hand, said the Lord? But cursed be the deceiver which hath in his flock a male, and voweth the sacrifice, and sacrificeth unto the Lord a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, saith the Lord of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. Well, let me give you another one. Let me give you another one. Okay. And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. Yeah, but this verse is pretty much talking about like the priesthood is corrupted, and he's sending like a warning to them that his covenant was with Levi, and pretty much you don't know what's going on now with all of these sacrifices. Like literally everything you said was right here.
Yeah, it's various verses in the Bible that forbids animal sacrifice. The Torah of Moses was prepared by the priesthood on the base of traditions of documents and law codes of other nations. We just read that Code of Hammurabi. We saw some of the laws. So what happened is that Ezra is in Babylon, this high priest. This taking place in Babylon. When he's in Babylon, he's studying the laws of other nations, and he's codified and making a law called the Torah. That's why you can see that it coincides with one another when you read his Code of Hammurabi in the Torah, because when he was there, he was extracting the laws that was there. Islam? Then came the raid of Nebuchadnezzar, who so utterly burnt and destroyed Jerusalem in 586 BC. This is in 2 Kings 25, verse 9 and 10. That it is difficult to understand how any writings that extent could have escaped destruction. The priests and the people who carried away to Babylon, only a few of the people of poor lands, 2 Kings 25 and 12. During a long year of captivity, the leaders of the priesthood forged a new and larger works, making their power greater, in fact, providing for a kingdom of priests. Okay. A kingdom of priests, which is in Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. and carried the sacrifice back to the days of Moses to give it a special authority. So Ezra is the one who created these laws of the sacrificing for Levitical priests, because he himself was a Levitical priest. He wanted to get that money. And he gave it the authority, giving it to Moses, giving it the authority so the people could be like, oh, this came from God to Moses, we got to do the sacrifices. And since Israel is a Levitical priest from Aaron, what happens? That they do sacrifices and got to bring it to Levitical priests. Is he going to eat?
Yeah.
He's going to eat. So we got a little more time? So we're going to end with the Moorish Quran. And then I'm going to continue this next week. More of this next week. It's long?
It's long.
This is out the chapter of the Holy Quran, Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 10. It goes right along with what he was talking about, starting at verse 20. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests.
Yeah? It's a Moorish Quran now.
And charge them to restrain the wrath of Allah by prayers, and when they fail to win his favor by prayers, to buy him off with sacrifice of animals or birds.
Is this a coincidence? Am I making this up? Like, if I'm making this up, like I'm reading the Bible, I read a reference from out of another book, that goes into the Moorish Quran that no majority divinely prepared.
Islam, that's
It's
right.
just like a puzzle. Am I putting the pieces together?
That's right.
Continue.
When man sees Allah as one with him and Father Allah, he needs no middleman, no priest to intercede. He goes straight up to him and says, "My Father God Allah," and then he lays his hand in Allah's own hand and is all as well. And this Allah, and this is Allah. You are each one a priest just for yourself. And sacrifice of blood Allah does not want.
A sacrifice of blood Allah does not want. Continue.
Just give your life in sacrificial service to all of life, and Allah is pleased. Islam.
Now you think they don't want to kill him? They making all this money, get all these animals, sacrificing them, bringing them to Jerusalem, they slaughtering them like a meat house there, blood everywhere. And he comes to tell you, yo, he just kicked that to you. And they look at it, and people following him. They're like, nah, we got to kill this boy. He got to get killed. He messing with the money. That's what this was about. It's about money. It's about sacrifices more, but we the sacrifice. We give our life to help and uplift form humanity.
Islam.
With that I say peace. Islam.